So that's our Hemi walker. Now we're going to move into our standard walker. There are different variations that we can add to a standard walker. This is just a regular standard walker, and you can see there are just 4 standard legs here. They are adjustable in height. So the idea behind the standard walker is that you are going to push the walker forward and walk into it. So as you're walking, as you put it forward and I go to walk forward, I'm pushing my weight, offloading that weight from my feet into this walker. There are variations to adding to a walker. So a walker is going to increase your base of support. So this is going to give you that wider base of support. If you think how we talked about before, that my feet are my base of support. So this adds that extra base of support, that wider square or rectangle on my body. So that's going to increase my base of support, which also adds more stability when walking. One thing about walkers is that whenever you bring it off the ground, especially this one, there goes that base of support. So you have to be able to maintain that position before you place it down to be able to put that weight through. A variation to a walker that we can do is take these front legs off. They're easily detachable. So you just has a knob here. And then slide that off. I just not want to do right now. But you would replace that with a similar leg, but it has a wheel on the front. And so then that would make your walker, standard walker, a front-wheeled walker. With the front-wheeled walker, all 4 legs are going to maintain contact at all times during mobility. So you would push the walker forward, it's going to stay on the ground, and then come into it. So those are mostly used with individuals who can't really lift that walker forward, but also just need that gliding. And it's a lot easier and it helps with balance just to glide with the standard or a front-wheeled walker, to glide it forward and walking into it. And it's more of a fluid motion with walking. Some accessories that you can kind of see here on my walker is we have this tray. This is a foldable tray. And so whenever I bring it up, and it'll lock right into place. So with this tray, it also has some cup holders, but you're able to use this tray to transport items. So transporting your dinner plate from the kitchen counter to your table, the kitchen table, is more of a safety. This is going to add the extra safety, but then also a place to be able to transport items. Because ideally, you do not want to take your hands off the handles of the walker for safety. So having that, a place to be able to put items, transport, is ideal. But this one, I like this one because it's easily folds right back down, and you have it everywhere you go. There are other varieties of walker trays, some that just sit right on top with the handles, sit right on top right here. But with that, it also decreases the space that you have inside of your walker. So you are walking a little bit further back. So that's just one accessory. Another accessory I have here is a reacher holder. For individuals who are unable to bend over or need just that extended reach, they would use a reacher. So to be able to pick up items from the ground or even some from a higher shelf. But in my experience, they're being carrying their reachers like this, or on their handles here, or just trying to hold it in general while they're navigating. Thus, also it would fall, but it could also add to being a fall risk, because it's something that you're thinking about, making sure it's not going to fall. So that takes your mind off of being able to use your walker properly. So this reacher attachment, it just easily clips onto the side of the walker. Slides right on, and then your reacher slides right in. And so then that allows to hold your reacher to keep it in handy while you are using your walker. Another accessory that we have, so I mentioned the front wheel walkers before. I'm sure that you have seen walkers with the tennis balls on the bottom, the back legs. Tennis balls are great. They are going to help slide, and they are a readily available item. However, tennis balls do wear out over time, and you will have to constantly replace those items. There are, they're called skis, walker skis. They provide the same purpose, but they are more durable, and they will last longer. And in the long run, they will save you money. And it's these are attached to our legs here, but on your legs, this one is screwed in, you unscrew it, slide them in there, you take the leg or the stopper off, slide it right in, screw it in, and there it is, safely attached. Now, we're going to move into a different kind of walker, and this is a rollator. As you can see on a rollator, this turns very easily due to the casters on the wheels. Rollators have brakes, so if you are navigating down the ramp, you're able to kind of slow that descend while you're navigating down a ramp to maintain your balance. But it also has the wheel locks. So individuals who become fatigued quickly would benefit from using a rollator because it has a seat here. So if a person is, we're walking and then they've decided to be tired, lock in your brakes, turn around, and sitting down. Always put the wheel lock on before sitting. That's a safety, and keep it on till you stand up. And then you just unlock them and off we go. This is foldable. So we just pop this wheel up. These two handles come in, and then it brings our walker in. The same with the standard walker also folds up, as well as the Hemi walker. So it's easily stored in a car and such. But there are some models. So we just have a seat here, but there are some models who, whenever you bring up the seat, there's a basket right in this area where you can store your purse or even your phone, anything that you need to carry with you. So that is our rollator. Okay, so I'm going to be just extender. So this allows that brake or wheel lock it's more easily to be pushed down with less effort. So an individual who has less upper extremity strength would be able to lock their wheels easily, because on the standard one, the wheel lock is very small. It's about to here, and it's a little harder to push. There are a variety of armrests that we can have with our wheelchairs. We have fixed ones, those are fixed to the wheelchair, and they're not going to move whenever they're not moving at all. So those are ones that they're going to stay. But then we also have detachable ones, and this is a swing away on this wheelchair. So I would just push this button up, and it slides, bring my arms and my wheelchair back. This is helpful if an individual has to use a sliding board to be able to bring those off. And they lock right back in place very easily. These wheelchairs are also collapsible for easily transport and storage. Now, I will tell you, they will say that this is a lightweight wheelchair. However, it does have some weight to it. So for families to be able to bring it, put it in their car, that that is an option. That is our standard wheelchair. So now this is a high back wheelchair. It's very similar to our standard wheelchair. However, the difference is we have a higher back, and this one does have a reclining feature. So there are two levers here on the back. I'd push these two levers and it reclines my seat back. So for individuals who don't have good trunk support or trunk stability and need that extra assistance, having that reclining feature allows them to maintain position in the wheelchair to maintain up during the day. But it also is for those individuals who might have back pain throughout the day, but we really don't need to go to bed. But having that ability to just to kind of lean back a little to relieve that pain is an option. There are other ones. This particular wheelchair, high back wheelchair, has the wheel lock in the back. So this is more of a caregiver, someone pushing would be able to lock those wheels. There are models where they do have the standard wheel locks in the front. And so now I'm going to pass it to Paul, and he is going to talk more on advanced wheelchairs and power mobility.
Yes, okay, so I'm going to scoot over here for a minute, and I'm currently in an ultra lightweight wheelchair. Chrissy just talked about more of a standard type chairs, but there's Medicare kind of has categories for wheelchairs. They start from standard, lightweight, high strength, lightweight, ultra lightweight, and then even heavy duty and like tilt and space chairs. So I'm going to just move forward from the standard chair, and each of these you kind of can qualify based on your ability to push the chair. Wheelchairs can be both independent mobility or dependent. That reclining back wheelchair that Chrissy just demonstrated would be an example of a dependent wheelchair base. That's for an intended to push the chair for the person in the chair. Today's wheelchairs are kind of like bicycles. There are so many options available that I would always suggest that do your research and to see what's out there, and then maybe talk to other wheelchair users. I myself, this is my wheelchair. This is an ultra lightweight wheelchair, and it has many advantages to it. The two wheelchairs that Christy described are both folding frames. This chair does not fold. It is what's called a rigid frame. And a rigid frame wheelchair has all the advantages to it over a folding frame. And one thing it does not have is the ability to be collapsed into a folded position. But my rigid frame chair here has the ability for a wheel to be quickly removed. All I have to do is push a large button with my forefinger on the outside to remove that wheel from the chair. Both wheels are able to have that accomplished in order for me to be able to load it into a vehicle of sorts. As I said, these type chairs have all the inherent advantages. The greatest advantage that it offers is an adjustable axle plate position. And that means that the ability to move this rear wheel anterior or forward, which basically allows more of the person's weight to be placed on the rear wheels, thereby making the chair easier to push. If we think about maybe a 200-pound person and they're sitting in this chair, we have four wheels. If those wheels were spaced evenly, each wheel would have to carry 50 pounds, right? But by moving the rear wheels forward, that allows us to offload those front casters and to carry more of the weight on the rear wheels, the large push wheels. And that is one of the reasons that the chair is easier to propel. The second part of that is if we think about this as a clock, starting with 12 o'clock position here down to 6 o'clock, by moving the rear wheels forward, our hand position on that clock will be greater. In other words, when I'm sitting in the chair, I can reach back here maybe to a 2 o'clock position and push to maybe like a 9 o'clock position. Thereby, every push, I'm getting more distance covered on the ground than if I was in a standard chair and I can only go from here to here, a shorter distance. That's why it takes, you know, a lot more effort to push that chair. Not only is it heavier, but the wheels are further back, which makes it more awkward to try to push the chair if you're the user. What also has happened today on ultra lightweight chairs is the ability to add power assist. So you can actually power these wheels with an add-on attachment. Some of them are attached here to the back, but I don't have one to demonstrate to you, and that maybe could be a future topic of discussion. The next area that we could go into would be power. And with Medicare, typically the first step on power is going to be what's called a POV, which stands for powered operated vehicle or scooter. Here is a 4-wheel scooter, which is more stable than a 3-wheel. But a scooter has got it's basically a mobility device that's going to allow an individual to go from point A to point B pretty quickly if they want. It has a single drive motor here in the back, and it has a tiller control here at the front. So if I'm sitting in it, I steer this by moving the tiller left, right. Then there's 2 levers here. One of them is reverse and one of them is basically forward. So if I push this one forward, it backs the chair up, my left hand. And I can go forward by using my right thumb to push it here. You also have the ability to go, if you didn't have both hands, I could go backward just using my right hand by pushing that lever backward. Okay, that may be a little confusing, but it does give you those options to be able to move this scooter or power operated vehicle around from point A to point B. Typically, these can be transportable. They do break down into several parts or a few parts. You can remove the seat and this battery pack. The tiller is adjustable to fold down, and then you can set that into a vehicle, and that's how I transported it today. The final item we were going to talk about is a power wheelchair. A power wheelchair is different from the scooter in that it operates typically by a joystick control, which can be positioned either on the left or the right. It has 2 drive motors. They're typically today's world directly coupled to the 2 drive wheels on either side. And then the way that the chair is steered is via this inductive joystick. The voltage is varied to each of the drive motor to allow that chair to maneuver. You can also take this chair when it's a mid-wheel drive configuration, and this particular chair right here is a mid-wheel drive because the drive wheel is in the center as opposed to the drive wheel being at the back or at the front, because there's 3 different types of power chairs: mid-wheel, front wheel, and rear wheel. And so they can be operated with that joystick, varies the voltage going to the 2 drive motors, and that allows a person to navigate, and it will also be able to turn within its own footprint, these mid-wheel drive style type chairs. There are other accessories that are available with all these items. In seating options, for example, on a power wheelchair, we can go with specialty seating, like custom seating, to really properly position a person via cushions and backrests, belts, and supports. There's also specialty driver controls that can be added to power wheelchairs to allow a person to drive maybe with their head or a chin or even sipping puff. I think that's all we have time for today, so we can now open it up maybe for questions. Are there any questions, Gloria?
Right now, Paul, there are, we don't have any in the session. I'm just checking and make sure. There's a lot of scroll up there. I don't have any in the session, in the chat session right now, but can you all just kind of let us know about the chairs that we have as far as like the reuse program and, you know, the chairs that they could borrow that we might have in the centers?
You know, like many of the items that Christy demonstrated are available in probably all of our centers. We have 9 centers across the state. So each of our centers would probably have an item available so a person could come in and look at it. We still are going to recommend that these items be properly fitted by a licensed certified medical professional like a physical therapist or occupational therapist, possibly through an order through their physician or primary care physician. Wheelchairs, they're like bicycles. I mean, there's just so many different ones out there. Each of, I think, our centers probably have a manual wheelchair that somebody could come in and look at and maybe even borrow it if they needed something for a family member to go from point A to point B. I don't think we have any power chairs in any of our centers right now. So those would not be readily available through our NCATP centers.
Great. Thanks, Paul and Christy, for sharing the information with us today about positioning and mobility. I would like to say that we appreciate all those who have joined the call. And if you would, there is a link that will be posted in the chat section. If you could click on that link and do a survey for us. There are 3 questions that we just asked you to fill out for us. And if you have any comments, if there's a session or a topic that you would like us to talk about, you can put that in the survey. But again, we thank you all for joining us. And I would like to kind of reiterate what Christy said in the beginning, that we do not do assessments for the positioning and wheelchairs. We just have the devices available that we can loan out to you. You will have to get someone who's specialized to do that. But thank you all for joining us. Join us next week. We do have a guest speaker next week who will be joining us on the call, named Lexi Haas. So we look forward to that. And if there aren't any other questions, let me check one more time, Paul and Chris, just to make sure I didn't miss anyone. I'm not seeing any right now. So you all did great right at the time. So thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you all.
Bye.